NBA action of yesterday. We showed you the Nets and the Bucks in a thriller earlier. How about the Spurs and Sixers battled all the way to overtime? Tied with 6 seconds left in the OT. Joel Embiid misses, but Ben Simmons has just enough time for the tip-in. Just like that, the Sixers win it 113-111. Meanwhile, in Boston last night, the Celtics lost their two All-Stars on one play. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum awkwardly colliding with about 40 seconds left in the game. They both limped off the floor. Brown appeared to get the worst of it. We'll get further reports today. Celtics would lose to Portland by 10. Meanwhile, speaking of losing, the Lakers lost again. They've dropped 6 out of 7. This one to Toronto. If they lose tonight, they fall to the 7 seed, which means they're not guaranteed a spot in the playoff bracket. Remember about the play-in tournament? Well, Lebron James was talking about it yesterday, and here's what he said.
If this happens to, we end up at 6th or 5th or whatever the case may be, or if we end up in the playoff, whatever that thing is, whoever came up with that need to be fired. But whatever.
Dominique, LeBron suddenly seems very perturbed by the play-in tournament. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to be on the wrong side of LeBron James, but I think the play-in tournament actually is accomplishing what it's supposed to accomplish. It's made the late games, or some of the games late in the season, more interesting. It adds some high-tension moments in the early rounds of the playoffs that we don't get. So I personally like it. I don't understand where LeBron is coming from, but I like it until we end up with a situation that maybe LeBron James is out of the playoffs after 1 or 2 games. So I agree with that, but the problem isn't that we have the play-in tournament. The problem is that LeBron and AD have been hurt all season, so they are near the play-in tournament. A team like this should be in the top and not concerned about this, and it should be a game that allows us to be more interested in some teams that we wouldn't normally be interested in this moment. So I'd be more upset with his health than I'd be with the play-in tournament.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's interesting that the two people we've heard speak out about this, Mark Cuban in Dallas and now LeBron with the Lakers, they didn't seem upset about this until it became likely that their teams were going to be involved. It's been the rule all year. Meanwhile, tonight we have a very special NBA presentation on ESPN2. It is the first ever Marvel-inspired presentation of an NBA game. Here's a taste.
On's absence, and that'll be good and everything, but here's the thing, guys. Who are we playing right now? Who are we kidding right now? When James Harden gets back, let's remember, when it was just him sometimes, or him and Kyrie, they were beating everybody. They have the best record in the East now. The three of those guys have hardly played together. I'm saying when Harden gets back, and it's Harden and KD and Kyrie, and KD's fully integrated in terms of the minutes and everything, this is going to be the greatest offense in the history of American team sports. This is going to be like the Golden State Warriors were, but better. Because with the Golden State Warriors, at least, like, what could you do? One of two things, right? You could say, well, make Clay put the ball on the floor and make decisions, which he could do. But it's not like that's what he's there for, right? So the third member of the big three on offense here is Kyrie. You want to have him put the ball on the floor? Good luck with that. He's going to kill you. And the other thing is, we saw a Houston team against that Golden State team, just by shooting so many threes and playing that D'Antoni system, come close to knocking off a fully loaded KD Golden State Warriors team. Here's the thing, though. D'Antoni, they're running D'Antoni's system in Brooklyn. His protege, Steve Nash, is the head coach, and D'Antoni's sitting on the bench. So good luck with that. You're not going to out D'Antoni that team. When Harden gets back, I look forward to seeing the greatest offense in any sport ever assembled. The answer is James Harden.
You're wrong, but nothing new there. The bottom line is this. When you look at the Brooklyn Nets, I would remind you, Max Kellerman, that they're 41-20. They're the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Kyrie is still a showstopper. And when Kevin Durant is in the game, we know how prolific he is. You are right about the fact that the three of them together, they've only played 7 games together. And once the three of them together, we might see the most prolific offense we've ever seen. They're pretty damn close to prolific right now. But that's neither here nor there. My question to you is, albeit rhetorical, have you seen the Los Angeles Lakers without LeBron James? They've lost. They recently lost 4 straight before winning last night. The fact of the matter is they've been struggling. They're the 5th seed in the Western Conference. And actually, Max Kellerman, to some degree, it's almost because of the greatness we anticipate from the Brooklyn Nets that we need to see LeBron out there. Why? Because AD was gone. he was gone for 2 months after irritating his calf. And we wondered about his health, and obviously he came back rusty, but he'll be fine. And then you acquired Andre Drummond. And so because you acquired Drummond and you've got AD coming back, we want to see, once LeBron arrives, because he's the man and he runs their offense, what the Lakers are going to look like and whether or not they're going to be ready to stave off this juggernaut in, as we know it, the Brooklyn Nets to be, or expect them to be. That's why anticipation for LeBron appears to be more profound, because we already see where Brooklyn is already and can only imagine what they're going to be once they get James Harden. LeBron is the only person, him joining the rest of the Lakers, that gives you some hope that the finals is going to be competitive.
All right, let's get Perkin.
Well, I see it like this here. First of all, Max, I totally disagree with you. And here's why. When I look at both of those guys and both of those teams, the Lakers and the Nets, James Harden and LeBron James, I'm looking at their ceiling, okay? Fully healthy, both organizations, their ceiling is to win a championship. If LeBron James and Anthony Davis is healthy, their chances on winning a championship is high. If James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant is healthy, their ceiling on winning a championship is high. Here's why I say LeBron James I'm anticipating LeBron James coming back, and the need for him to come back, okay? Without LeBron James, the ceiling for the Lakers is maybe getting past the first round. I mean, going to the second round, maybe getting to the second round, but getting swept, okay? They might not get out the first round. I'm setting the bar pretty high by saying getting to the second round. They might not get out the first round. When you look at the Brooklyn Nets and James Harden, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both are capable of taking the Brooklyn Nets to the finals without James Harden. Are they capable of winning the championship without James Harden? No, but they're capable of taking their team, and their ceiling is going to the finals. When you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, I'm like, if LeBron James would have been missing for the whole part of the season, they might have been in the lottery. So right now, LeBron James has to come back because they have to build chemistry. This is not their team from last year. You have Ben McLemore, you have Andre Drummond, who's only played about 10 games in a Laker uniform. Anthony Davis coming back off an injury. Frank Vogel has to figure out his rotations. At least the Brooklyn Nets, the role players have now found their way. Joe Harris knows his role. He knows how to play off of Kyrie Irving. He knows how to play off of Kevin Durant. He knows how to play off of James Harden. So I'm anticipating LeBron James.
Look, you guys are answering a different question. Is it whose return is more important for their team? Yes, I agree. What are the Lakers going to do without LeBron? The answer is nothing. What do we really need to see when LeBron gets back? Can Schroeder do Rondo in the playoffs, right? And we know they're defending champs. We know if they get it all together, they have a good chance to get out of the West. This is what I'm saying. We have a chance to see something we've never seen before in any sport. In any of the Peyton Manning Colts offense back, they would just think of a great juggernaut kind of offense in any sport, not like this Nets team. You bring up Joe Harris. Joe Harris is the greatest shooting fourth option in the history of basketball. Joe Harris takes 6-7 threes a game and hits almost 50% of them. Think about the death lineup in Golden State, right? So that was Steph and Clay and Harrison Barnes and Iguodala and Draymond, right? How do you like this death lineup? Because instead of Iguodala shooting the three, it's Joe Harris, one of the best three-point shooters we've ever seen. And otherwise, you have three MVP caliber players on the same team offensively, can all get their shots at historically great levels, can all score from anywhere, three-point range, mid-range, free throw line, in the paint, historically great levels. You don't want to see that?
The more you're talking, this is why we don't like listening to you talk basketball. Because what you're saying, Max, is this. This is exactly why. Because what you're saying,
let me finish. You in the debate.
Let me finish. Let me finish. You couldn't if you prayed to. If you prayed to, you could do it. Here's the point, Max.
I don't have to pray. I'm doing it now.
The point is this. You sit up there and you seem like somebody who would be completely satisfied seeing the Brooklyn Nets play by their damn self. We want competition. We don't want to just sit up there.
sure.
We don't want to just sit up there and see like a damn virtual layup line or some and one game or something like that. We want to see competition. We want to see you go up against a monster. Two monsters going up against what you got. The level of competition matters.
So you don't want to see the Nets fully healthy, is what you're saying.
Listen, I didn't say that. What I said is when you talk about what's more anticipated, the reason why is we already anticipate what the Nets are going to be, because even without Harden, we're seeing some semblance of it. When the Lakers come on board, once LeBron comes back healthy, if they what we anticipate they will be, now you got something special to look forward to. You're waiting for the encounter. Somewhat similar, Max, to why I keep salivating for the Lakers going up against the Clippers. I want LeBron against Kawhi.
Yeah.
I don't want LeBron against
But
Nurkic.
we know the Lakers
I don't
fully
want
healthy.
LeBron
They're
against the
defending
Joker.
champs.
I want LeBron against Kawhi. And I want LeBron against KD. I want Kyrie against LeBron. I want that stuff. That's why you anticipate it. Could you imagine if the finals come up and it's KD against LeBron again? Oh, and now you got Kyrie who would love to beat up on LeBron if he could. You have any idea the storylines that come with that? That's what we're looking forward to.
We all want to see them both come back. They're both
more
anticipated. Which is more anticipated? LeBron coming back to a team we already know how good they're going to be. They're the
KD
defending
and Kyrie
champion.
without Harden going against LeBron would be appealing.
Or James Harden coming back to a team that we really haven't seen yet. We have not seen the Brooklyn Nets at full strength yet. I want to see that. I want to see it heading into the playoffs.
Well, I'm going to tell you why I'm anticipating LeBron James even more. Forget making it to the championship. I want to see how the Lakers going to look just coming out of the Western Conference. When you look how hard and how better teams have gotten, the Utah Jazz, the Denver Nuggets, Stephen A., I was wrong. They still balling without Jamal Murray, okay? The Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Cam Johnson, Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, the way that they're playing phenomenal basketball right now. And my favorites that are in the Western Conference right now, the Los Angeles Clippers. I said this before the season started, that they needed a floor general. That's all they was missing. And they went out and got Rajon Rondo. Oh, the guy that they took from the Lakers. The Lakers didn't sign him back. They took him for granted. And since the Clippers got Rondo, they have been a completely different team. Hell, not just the team. Paul George has been a completely different player. That's the Rondo effect. Reggie Jackson. So I'm anticipating the Lakers and the Clippers meeting up in somewhere in the Western Conference before we even think about the finals. And this is why I'm anticipating LeBron James getting back, because I want to see that matchup.
Hey, Max, you want to faint, Max? You want to